I guess it's been a minute since we talked, and not for nothing, I always kind of secretly hope that what I have to say won't really matter to anybody. And so far, that's kind of what the truth is. So, if you're looking for your standard run of the mill, hype up, motivational kind of stuff, you're not going to find it here. the the problems with psychology today and motivational theory, things of that nature, all stem from a handful of different problems. I can summarize that for you by saying that pattern recognition in and of itself is a lie. And it stands to stay. There's this inherent need that we have as human beings for pattern recognition to be fact when it is actually fiction. I mean, think about it, right? The closer you try to observe something and predict what will occur in the future, the harder it is to do so. You can look at a drug addict and say that they'll continue using, but for how long? How often? You can look at a political figure and ask, will they become tyrannical? Or will they become inactive? To what degree? And for how long? You can look at the people in your daily life and ask the same questions. But the split doesn't come between who you are and who the people you know are. It comes in a different arena when you try to do something different, something new. Maybe you found purpose, and maybe you found that purpose just wasn't good enough. Because everything that you know keeps being invalidated, or, worst case scenario, validated. Because if you know everything that there is to know about what you're going to experience, then it creates a collapse. there's nothing new in that future. Same characters, different faces, different names. And the hard part about that whole entire thing is it'll look a lot like depression, severe depression at that, because then you stop finding interest in anything. Transcendentalists, or however you say that word, transcendence, whatever, they'll tell you that you're on the right path. But there's this instinctive kicking inside the back of your skull that you can feel every once in a while when listening to them. No, that's not how that works. And you don't quite fully know why. It's because it's fiction. You see, there's a very common structure to how we all perceive things, right? You start with your observation layer, the thing seeing directly out of your eyes, speaking with your mouth, hearing through your ears, feeling with your skin. And then there's the thing up here that sits behind all of that and says, this is what I'm feeling, this is what this means, this is what this looks like, this is what I think is going to happen, this is what I believe is true. Behind that, back here, is the unconscious, where you're digging into Jungian archetypes and a whole bunch of other fun stuff. You know, you're questioning how it is that your programming came to be the way that it is, how you became who you are. It's like, this is where you're going in most cases when you're doing trauma-informed therapy. Don't abbreviate that, by the way. Otherwise, Freud might have something to say. So you're there questioning these aspects, you know, what kind of aggression is inside, what kind of pacifism is inside, what kind of, you know, old man, old witch archetypes exist in there. You know, are you deliberately divulging harmful information or doing harmful things like a mad scientist or an alchemist? And then you go one layer further back than that, back down here. And you start questioning survival mechanisms. And this isn't, it's not for the faint of heart. Trying to change your survival mechanisms it is, it's a different beast. You're probably not going to do it consciously. You're probably not going to do it in your dreams. You're probably not going to do it through spirituality. You're probably going to do it unwillfully. And it's going to hurt a lot. And the reason why you go back there is to work your way back up all the way through here, out through here, trying to change the value that you perceive in yourself, the lies that you tell yourself, the things that you think are inherently true about the reality that you live in, because you understand that you want something more. You don't want that myth to rule over your life, but it seems to persist regardless. So you try to change yourself. And maybe while you're back there, you come back with what you think is medicine for others, some form of salvation from the things that we feel are a disease inside of our heads, the suffering, the hopelessness, the worthlessness. They call them personality disorders or neurological disorders, but really all they're talking about is your methods of interpretation, and that's pretty much it. The lies that you tell yourself and the lies that you tell to others that feel like the truth. They feel so much like the truth that you believe they are the truth. The best lies that are ever told are the lies that feel or become the truth. And then you look out to the world. And then it stops being about this and it starts being about out there. And you can become a nihilist or whatever in any of those circumstances, any point in time in here, and just say everything just means fucking nothing. And if that works for you, that's okay. You can say that God doesn't exist. You can say any number of those things. Whatever it is that might potentially alleviate some of that suffering. And then when you're looking out into the world and trying to decipher what it is you're seeing directly in front of you, because you might as well forget the whole entire world narrative. Just poof, gone. Or you can hold on to it if you want. It'll serve you no purpose other than more suffering, but that's your choice. But if you heed my advice here and stay in your direct vicinity of your reality, and you ask yourself various questions, what is it that you actually want to do? Chances are you're probably going to want to change things, if not for yourself, then for others. If you're so self important that it's purely for yourself, then good for you. You're just like everybody else that you think is wrong. And then when you get down into it, it comes back to an old psychological framework where you're not supposed to project people from your past onto people that you're currently involved with in whatever measures, work, romance, friendship, whatever the case may be. And that in of itself is actually harder than what you might think. It's also easier than what you might think. It gets really complex down in that kind of place, if you will. Mostly because a lot of it is unconscious, still back here. So you end up seeing behaviors, facial patterns, muscle movements, speech patterns, stuff like that. And they suddenly have far more impact than what they should. And there's way more meaning read into them than should be read. And it happens. Especially if you've survived extreme trauma. But doing self-observation without trying to become something other than human will also naturally get you here. And that's what a lot of the frameworks out there get wrong. That's why there's this kind of disconnect between you and what everybody else should be motivating to you. Because chances are you look out into the world and you're not motivated by money. You just need it to be able to survive, and you want enough to be able to do it comfortably, reasonably. And maybe you want it because you want to be able to attract a good partner or whatever, one that will be loyal, one that will stay no matter what. Because you want longevity, continuity, belonging that doesn't get erased just because somebody decided to walk away. The fact of the matter is, there's no amount of money that will ever make you safe. There's no amount of power that will ever make you safe. Nor is there any amount of knowledge or wisdom or foreplanning or foresight that will make you safe. And whatever the things that you want most in this life that mean the most to you end up having the most control. You either get yourself into a situation where you try to cling too tightly and control the outcomes, or you let go and try to just ride it out. Things will be okay, yet they never are. Because what you see out there doesn't match up with what you experience in here. And everybody's telling you the versions that they think are right. And every single time, there's some aspect of it that's asking you to let go of some part of you that either you can't let go of, or you don't want to, or both. Some needs are inherently programmed in our brains, whether some will admit that or not. I don't really honestly care. I'm not here to make arguments. So when you look out and you try to foresee the future from that position where you can't know, where there are no guarantees, the current suffering that you're going through is baseline reality. And that's good enough to keep you where you are. Believe me on that. How do you become someone different without erasing yourself? And if you're willing to erase yourself, then what does the change matter? Are you still the same person? Are you still objectively experiencing it the same way as before? Can that previous version of you that you let die experience the things that you would in that future? And if no, if not possible, because that version of you had to die and be laid to rest, does that make any sense? What's left? Are you still the same observer? And if you're not, then the one that suffered, it never knew, and it never will. Or it does, and it sneaks back in when you think that you've got it good. And suddenly everything crumbles around you and becomes the same as it was before. So you end up trying to escape yourself. And you think, if only it were just so easy as other people make it seem. But pattern recognition is a lie. People have felt the same way that you have felt. They have probably thought similar things that you've thought, but absolutely no one has ever had your exact unique experience. And therefore, they do not have your exact unique story, which breaks the recursive loop. So, they are them, you are you. You are not God. God is not you. God is inside you, yes, or not. If you don't care for God, I don't care. And when you get down to it, you understand that the way we communicate, the way we talk to each other, the way we talk to ourselves, the way we describe how we perceive things is all an effort to be able to communicate an agreed upon structure. I see a banana and you see a banana. Therefore, we both agree there is a banana. I see gravity in the mathematics. You see gravity in the mathematics. Therefore, we both agree there is gravity in the mathematics, even if nature doesn't give a fuck about what you think about gravity. Reality existed prior to pattern recognition, prior to communication, prior to being able to observe what reality is. Who started it all? I don't know. What are you going to do tomorrow about your life? I don't know. How are things going to change? How do you make it better? Even 1%? I don't know. And that happens for a very specific reason. Because everything around you no longer carries the weight that it once did, no longer carries the meaning that it once did. You have effectively stripped off the mythology of reality by the time you get down here. And the only question left is, what are you going to do about it? Not what's going to be tomorrow. Not even that. Not what was true yesterday. Not that either. What are you going to do right now, this very given second, about whatever it is that you're feeling? Whatever suffering is there. What are you going to do about it? And if you want something that you can't change today, that you can't change in 2 weeks' time, that's okay. I'm not going to tell you not to want that. I do. Doesn't mean you'll get it, though. You know, there are specific rules that you have to follow in order to do that if you want to do that. Number one being stop asking for reality to break. Stop asking for God to fix things. Stop asking for things to just magically change. You're not going to win the lotto tomorrow. You're not going to stumble across a $100 bill. You're not going to meet a special somebody on a goddamn bus. It's not going to happen. Why? Because that's your observer's curse. Or you can decide that it's fiction. Either which way. All the ways that you feel, all the ways that you suffer, every barrier that's in your way, it's all fiction. But let's say you decide you want something and you can't get it right this moment. And everything else around you is of lesser importance or of no importance at all. Well, I hate to tell it to you like this, but in order to gain whatever it is that you're looking for, it starts with the stupid small things in your life. Really, really stupid, really, really small things. And then doing them over and over and over and over again. As much as you may loathe it, as much as you may disregard it entirely. In fact, loathing it would probably actually make it easier because there would be emotional investment. Apathy, on the other hand, not so much. And it's going to be mechanical because it has to be, because there's no motivation for it. There's no purpose to it. There's no grand meaning to taking out your goddamn trash or showering or anything of that nature. There's no grand meaning to any of it. But you do it because you have to, more or less. Unless you don't want to. That's perfectly fine too. And when you try to get somewhere, wherever you're trying to go, through those stupid little mundane little things that you do every single goddamn day, you can only really honestly hope that you'll find whatever it was that you thought would make it worth it. Because, I mean, in reality, it doesn't. It doesn't make it okay. It doesn't make it worthwhile. It doesn't give meaning to the suffering that has already existed. Nothing does. There is no grand plan. There is no straight line. There's just us walking, doing, being thinking, feeling, trying to connect, trying to build, trying to earn some semblance of decency in this godforsaken place. And at the end, the only thing that I could really ever say to you is that when you doubt things that can occur, when you feel like failure is inevitable, when you perceive a looming threat with someone that you're highly invested in, or a job or whatever, but you don't know for certain, even if you do. You know, maybe a fucking stupid ass song came on and a light bulb went off in your head or whatever, and all of a sudden it just all clicked and it's over. I know it's over. Don't do that to yourself. Instead of throwing blanket statements over whatever aspect of whatever it is that you fear, just say 3 words, 3 magical words.